All right, here we go, here we go, here we go. Let's paint. It's still Giant Robot Therapy Hour, but we are going to do something a little bit different today. We are going to work on painting up a Warhammer model for Warhammer 40k. Should be, well, it should be just about as exciting as anything else that we do, is what it should be. Let me get things moved around over on my desktop, set up properly. Actually, yeah, let's do this. Let's take chat and pop out chat. Isn't raised, pause chat, show monitor. Nope, nope. Huh. Well, it's somewhere in here, but no, that's not it either. Non-mod settings, pop out chat. There we go. Got a little chat bar over on the right there, so we can tidy everything up. So I can see if anybody pops into the room and does something. Hey, anybody who's joining us today, we're gonna work on this guy right here. Old GW model, Games Workshop model for Warhammer 40k. It's Plague Marine. We're gonna paint him up. Or continue painting him up. It's gonna be great. All right, let's get this started. There we go. Now we've got something. Ta-dum. This guy. Yeah, let me show him off here. Focus, focus. No? That's okay. We'll put him down here. We got some work to do on this little guy to get him painted up. We're gonna do some, we're gonna finish the base coating, do some wear and tear on the knife. It's too shiny, and we're going to get some freehand onto the side here, onto this shoulder pad. So, off to the races. First things first, I want to try to do a little bit of battle damage on this guy. Not exactly sure if it's going to work or how it's going to work, and so let's just get a little bit of black. There we go. That's a little bit of black, just like I wanted. So first things first, we'll just drop in brush a twirl to get a fine point, and we're going to drop in some black patches here on the armor. And the idea with this particular strategy is that we want to get those patches on, and then we will paint some silver inside the major chipped pieces. And do the weathering around it. Let's see, I got some stuff over here. There we go. Let's see, this doesn't seem to be updating actually, so let me try to figure out what's going on here. It's updating on my screen, but not so much on Twitch, it seems like. Let's try it again. Maybe I just had to refresh my browser. There we go. Now we got some movement. Now I can see what's going on. That's what we wanted. Right. Once again, let me fiddle with my desktop setup, which is always makes for great TV. All right. Less is probably more in this case, so we got it. And then we're going to work on a little fly icon here on the shoulder. We've already got the black paint out. And the reason I'm doing is also got these things, these little square bits on the back of the leg that I want to carefully paint in. Go over a little bit, which is fine. Because the reason I'm doing the freehand and the battle damage first is because I want to be able to, if it doesn't look right, to go back over it. So when we finish up base coating and everything else, if I don't like how the battle damage came out, I'll just paint right over it, put it back the way it was. Yeah, excuse me, I'm getting sidetracked here a little bit, but as long as I've got the black paint out, I may as well use it. All right. Getting on these bolter shells too. Yeah, there's a little bit of slop in there. Okay, we'll just clean it up when we're done. Go back. Sometimes slop is okay, sometimes it's not. It's all up to you. All right, so we're going to first carve out the basic form of this fly. Let's do a base line here and top here. What we're doing is we're going to draw this trapezoid. We will come back and sort of fix it up afterwards. It's got a little triangle here that comes down. I want the tip of this triangle to line up with the little triangle on the shoulder pad. We'll paint this in. And we'll end up coming back through here with the bone color to fix it all. Not fix it, but to get the details back in. And just slowly work it all the way in. So now we've got a bit more of a line that goes a little bit further and a little bit further. And just fill that in and we'll round those corners out. with the bone colored paint when we're done. And we're just going to go back and keep working that black until we have a nice dark color with good coverage that we want. Looking at the weights on each side, looks like it needs a little bit more over here to be really squared up. We're going to end up cutting the corners off of this and putting an internal line in to form the wings. Okay. You can't see it on the screen here, but I've got a well, maybe I should just spend the 10 seconds and we'll get this put up on the screen. All right, let's do that. It'll make it easier for you and easier for me. Here we go. There we go. That's what we're going for. Right there. That's what we're doing. Boop. Now it's in the screen. All right. Real quick, working quickly because we've got a bunch of black paint there on the mat that we don't want to waste, really. We are going to, well, I can use it to rim some bases, I suppose, of models that I've yet to do. We want to grab some silver paint. Here we go. Quick Silver by Privateer Press. Give it a good shake. Open it up. See this? Blue tack. What I use it for? Tear off a piece, roll it into a ball, and this helps keep the paint pot open just the way I like it. Right, grab a little bit of silver. Just little touches of silver inside. Get this guy look a little more beat up. We're just painting on the inside of these black spots. Trying to make it more look more like bare metal. And we'll probably go back over some bits with the bone color that you can see that I've used in other spots. And there's a mistake right there that needs to be touched up. Just go hunting around little happy battle damages. The technique I've seen but haven't really used before. There. Yeah, you know what? I might just turn this black spot up here into some battle damage, even though that wasn't intentionally done as battle damage. I think it might look okay. You can always cover it up anyways, which is what I was planning to do. No matter what. And we can always go back on these and thin them up a little bit if the edges are too wide or something like that. We don't want huge black lines around them. But so try to there. Alright, there's battle damage. Get some silver on here and thin it out. Paint around the edge of the bolter here, very thin, kind of thinly. And then in the front as well. Probably put a purple wash over that to tie it in with the rest of the model. And then very thinly go back in and paint these interior bolter shells. Give them some silver. And we're slopping over a little bit. Again, not the end of the world. There. Good. Set the silver aside. Now let's go to the bone here. Again, give it a good shake. Piece of blue tack. Stick it out of the bottle. Holds it open nicely. Alright, now for that shape that we're going for. Nice fine tip on the brush, so out a little bit. First things first, let's try to get this center line. So first of all, we need to cut in a triangle on top, and then run this center line carefully down, then cut another triangle out. And the lines are a little bit thin right now, but that's okay. See? It's cutting in. Don't know if you can tell. Hopefully you can. It gets kind of blurry when I hold it up, but now we cut off the corners here. Cut off the corners on the other side. Paint. Really get the interior parts specced out. And we'll go back with some black and work that line a little bit more before we're done. Try to straighten that center line out with my shaky hands. Alright, that looks pretty close. I'm just gonna say, not perfect by any means, but we can probably touch it up. Alright, now we need to make 2 lines. Bop, bop. Get my tip back. Really pay attention. Cut that line in. Cut that line in. And give it a dip in the water. And then round this off. And to round it, we're not even going to try to make it round, really. We're just going to cut the corners off. And it should look round enough. Alright, let's go back in with some black. Got it. Give it a twirl. And the goal now is we want to make those bone-colored lines smaller. Don't need to be as big as they are. Smaller and neater, and just touch up the edges where we need to. Get them a little bit straighter. And make sure that they're thin in the places we want them thin. See, that was too much. So we'll just go back with the bone. Just a touch. Wipe most of it off. And just draw straight down. Making that concave, so we'll put the eyeball back a little bit. Keep going with the black, touching up the lines, straightening them out. Just and because it's black, it covers over the tan really well. Just slowly going back in where it needs it. All right, back to the bone. Again, bone's got actually pretty good coverage too. And I noticed that there's a little bit more slop up here by the panel lining that I did than I really want. So we're gonna brace this against the work surface and just go in a couple places and knock the panel, the line highlights back a little. Just feather them out so that they blend in with the existing. And what you can't see is when I pull the brush off to the side, see, I'm gonna get most of this water off. Can't see is when I pull the brush off the camera, I'm licking it. That's right. I'm a dirty paint licker. This should be a little more crisp for the triangle at the bottom, I feel. There. And there you have it. There is one whole Nurgle symbol. Just look around, see if the black is showing anywhere through more than I like. Maybe feather out a little bit so the paint doesn't look like it's lumped up. We're good to go. Easy peasy. The question is, do I that's what I wanted. All right, we're gonna need a little bit bigger brush now, because what we're gonna do is pull out the green and finish up the pieces. Let's see, I'm gonna grab this guy. Actually, I think I even want bigger than that. A little more coverage than that. Nah, he'll be fine. Get it wet, hold the bristles together. And then next up, Lauren Forest. And the parts we're going to do, we're going to go in around all the little arm pieces and the back and everywhere that just doesn't have a base coat on it yet. And we'll touch up the battle damage spots too to make sure that they're all exactly where I want them. Okay, good. And you'll note I'm using paint directly out of the pot for other things, but for this stuff is pretty thick. So we're going to put some down here on my palette. I'm not using a wet palette, mainly because I don't need things to be that thin for what I'm doing. But I will add a little bit of water off the brush to thin things down. Wipe it off there, touch it, reload the brush, and now we're just painting in. Do, do, do. I've got the highlights already painted in purple. So the goal of this stage is not to cover up that purple too much. Why I wanted some thinner paints for this. I have to decide if I'm going to make those fists a different color. I don't think so. I think that's just going to be battle damage-ish like other parts. So we just need to color it in. Color it and paint it in. Come in and get around the top. And this will take a few coats to get him where I want him to, but we have to work our way around the model. So that's fine. Work down from the top. Move the paint back up, and now get those fingers greened up. Leaving the purple in places, in the recesses. And that greenish purple is, it's nice for Nurgle stuff. Let's see. The colors sort of contrast with each other to look really kind of ghastly and sickly, which is kind of what Nurgle's all about. Back we go over to here. Get the tops of the backpack spot. And this isn't that important. That whole area is going to be covered up with the backpack when I get to it. So I don't want to spend a ton of time painting it up, because what's the point? I'm just going to throw a backpack on top of it. Or also, in my case, if I don't actually get to the backpack, I also just don't have to photograph the back side of the miniature. Just cheating a little bit, but if you're on a deadline, maybe you cut that corner and come back to it another day. So see, we got that purple in there. Brush it off, and we'll keep moving that purple up and away, so that we can still see that hue peeking through. Try to get good coverage on here so I can get good definition. A good transition line between this part and the other. All right, great. And then touch up spots in here. Just to Make sure we've got proper coverage. A little bit of a mistake down in there. We'll fix it. Yep. Moving along. All right, let's work on these fingers a little bit more. Build that top layer up. It's fine to have the green and the purple peeking through, but it shouldn't be the predominant color. The predominant color is still green. Over here, paint it in. Make my little pew pew noises while I do it. That's all great. See, we want some really nice, neat battle damage on here. No sloppy battle damage. Sloppy battle damage is right out. Make sure we've got those lines painted in well. Nothing extra. And a lot of times what I'll do for lines like that is I'll actually just go in and use an actual like ink pen. Alright, we're running low on that paint, but that's okay. We don't have a lot left to do. So it looks like we may end up needing more. Let's have to mix up another batch. So we still have this guy's elbow guards. And fingers to do. So here, let's get in there. That's probably a place we'll need to use some of that black to go in and line highlight. But let's pull some more paint out of the pot. You can always use it for touch-ups. There we go. Back. I'm going to close this paint pot. Don't need it anymore. All right, get one nice drop of paint right there. Good. Excess. Dab it off, and away we go. Just keep working. Get on in around the skull. I'm trying to decide if this little collar around his fist deserves to be green or not. If I really want a contrasting color there, or if I just want it to blend in and not stand out. I don't want to spend too much time on these gauntlets, especially back in there, because no one's really going to see them. we come back with maybe a brighter color. All right, let's go back and work these fingers a little bit more. Just keep glove part still looks splotchy, which is not the effect I'm going for. If it was, then I'd leave it, but it's not what I'm looking for. Alright, it's a little too purpley down here, so let's get some more paint up on top. Now we need to, now that this is dried up a bit, go back in and I think I am just going to make that hand collar piece there. That needs to be green. That should be mostly green. And then we'll just take it and we'll brush it up from the bottom. Take off most of the paint because we got too much. There we go. Oh, look what I found. Battle damage spot. I forgot to put silver in. So we'll just boop, 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 boop. Cover that up. Yeah. He's coming along. I do like how that, oh, I like pretty well how that chaos symbol came out. He's okay. Yeah, let's touch up this battle damage here. Take out that piece. Then try to smooth that part out. There we go. A bit more work on the vambraces here, and so while we've got this green paint here and the black, we really need to go in, take a really thin line of paint and draw in the details for these shoulder parts because they sort of get lost once it's all the same color. Sort of need to get the definition back in. And it's a good time to do it while I've got the rest of the paint loaded up. The green paint. Because obviously I ended up being a little sloppy. Touching there, touching there. This part's actually pretty fine. Yeah, we're not going to do anything there. It's all good. All right. Let me take this green, come back in and knock that line back down. Just let the green come in and sit right on top of it, right on top of that little black. Just knock it back down very carefully. We don't want to get rid of that line entirely, but there we go. All right, let's see. Move my eyeballs back a little bit, get this finished up. Good. Make sure the fingers read as fingers and not just a random mishmash of lines. A little bit of green paint down in there. Maybe got too much. There we go. Pull some of it out. And I got a little spot in here. Some coverage. Now what I want to do is take the rest of this black while I've got it. And draw in that line. So that we know it's there. There. That needs to dry slightly. But now we've actually got some definition on it. Again, I don't know if you'll be able to tell with the focus. Need a longer focal length on that camera. Okay, good. Let's see, what else do we got? Touch up this battle damage over here. All right, now. Good. Nailed it. Okay. Yes, we were going to do that. So to provide the corroded copper color that I want, I'm going to take this snake scales. It's a really bright green. And we're going to need some watered down snake scales. Like we're really going to make a wash out of it. About as thin as it can get. And we're just going to, that's probably enough, touch it in and around. We got some crevices that we painted up. Then get it on the edges. Not like a ton, but we put it down. Then we dry off the brush and we pull some of it out so that we can get the idea of what we want. Great. Now that has to dry, and while it's drying, I'm going to come in with this really bright green that I've got now. It's going to touch the knuckles. fingertip points and stuff of the hand. It should dry very, very thin. So the hope is that it will dry pretty light. If it doesn't, I'll go back in over it again. It's not a problem. Again, basically just the knuckles to make sure that whoever's looking at the thing can tell where the fingers are. I'm going to pick out the definition on the fingers. Bright spot up there. A little brighter there. Here and there, a little brighter. See, that's too much. I don't want it to look like spots of green. I want it to look like a highlight. Okay. Still letting that green dry. I think I want to touch up one piece of the freehand on there. This eyeball needs to look a little bit more rounded. So we'll cut the corners off. There. There's also this little piece poking out, which is bugging me. The amount of paint I'm using is so small that it dries really fast on the brush. There. I think that's more along the lines of what I was looking for. Cool. Yeah, I'm going to get a shot of that. Throw it up on Instagram because I'm pretty happy with it, actually. All right. Let's pull out some brighter colors now. And I'm going to go in and pop in the eyeballs on this guy. Let's go with the purple theme. We're going with purple eye lenses. Again, this doesn't have to be perfect. We'll go back in with some of the bone color if we slop too much. Try to avoid slopping too much, of course, but if it happens, it happens. And what we're going to do is we're going to attack it from this angle, just push the bristles in. Well, that's pretty dark in there. Good. And then we've got some points that we're looking at on here that need to be touched up. Good. Yeah, for some reason this Plague Marine has the symbol of corn on his gun. I don't know if he looted it or what, but it's kind of strange. All right, we are zeroing in on finishing this guy up. I need my wash. At this point, we're just checking out spots. Trying to think if there's anything I have in my project pile that could use this green. Oh. Maybe Horticulus Slimex. Oh, yes, perfect. Let's see. This is just going to be a test. We're going to see if we can set this marine aside for a moment. Grab this and just use the paint. I don't like wasting paint, although it's probably just fine too. Get a little bit of green down on this friendly snail fella. If I don't like it, it'll be easy enough to just base coat right over the top of it. Boink. I think actually I had a better thing to use this on, but it's a little bit late now to second guess. Hey there, buddy. Feeling green. Not sure how much I like that. It's probably not the right color to do for the feet of this guy. Well, I do think it's going to look pretty good if it can stay recessed in these holes in his body. Give those holes, give those pock marks and stuff kind of a glow about them. There we go, it's looking better once I sort of scoop the bright bits out of the crevices, right? Like, it's almost a dry brush. That's interesting. I don't know if it's what I really want for that guy in the final stage, but it's interesting. We'll set him off to the side. All right. Back to the wash. I want to put this wash on the little metal doodads here to knock them down. Good. We'll come back to the weapon. I got to get into the lines of the grenade here. I want to get it across the bandolier of bullets that he's got on his back. I don't really want to do much with those bullets. Again, stick a backpack on this guy. You're not even going to be able to see them, so I don't want to spend a lot of time messing with them, but I would like them to have a little definition just in case. And then also, boop, boop, get some definition on the gun bits. Make sure it doesn't look like it's just flat shaded. We'll come back in a sec and punch it up a little bit more. I'm using a fairly dry brush. You can see I'm like getting most of the wash off before I put it on. What I really want is just to make sure the shadows and other parts have that definition that I want. And that stuff will just rest nicely in there. And it'll help to smooth out any of the imperfections that I've undoubtedly, some more extra at the top for shout out to any of the imperfections that I've undoubtedly added. Like, I don't think that these hoses on the top really have quite enough definition. So let's push it a little more. Push the contrast between the recesses of the hose and the individual like pieces of the tubes coming out. Tubes. There we go. There. That should just sit. Last but not least, we want to take this bronze dagger type thing. Give it a nice wash. When that dries, although we want to be careful, we don't want to fill up the crevices where we put the green too much. You always come back in with more. But when this wash is dry over the metal, it dulls it down a lot. That's difficult to tell when you do the initial part. All right, let's fix up the metal bits. Then we can dot the lenses a little. Oh, wait, that's silver. I do not want silver for this. I want my Bastion Gray. Privateer Press. And we're going to just get a little bit of the stuff on there, wipe most of it off, and then dot the raised portions, of these metal pieces. Just to get the definition in there. Then we're done. Done with that bit. We'll go back and we'll do the, again, very lightly. The tops of here and blend it back up. Okay, now let that stuff dry. In the meantime, is there anything I can do for you? A little bit. Come back to the gray. Get rid of most of the water. Pick up some paint on the brush. Swirl it around. Work on the point of his helmet here. This might be a case where I need to hang the mini upside down for a little bit while that paint dries off. Alright. So we're just going to sit here with this guy hanging upside down for a bit. I think thinking about what we want to do. I think I'm going to tie in the purple a little bit more. Yeah, that's going to be great audio. Okay. Then we need to do the skulls on the side, and then the other bits on the top here. Hold on to that. Always nice to have extra blue tack. All right, a little bit of purple. There's a little doohickey here on the end of this gun that we're going to paint purple, right, doohickey? We'll no doubt need to go back with some bone and clean that up. We'll paint this doohickey on the top. We'll also paint that purple. Just trying to get that purple into a couple of spots on the model to try to tie it all together. Maybe not the best idea. You have to ask. Let me adjust the light. There we go. I think it will end up looking rather nice. Garish, but in a good way. You get good coverage because we've got a gray base coat, and anything I don't paint is going to really shine through. Cool. Let me grab the wash again real quick. Actually, yeah. Do the trick again. We'll grab some of the purple paint along with a brush that's loaded with water. Make a quick wash. Maybe too much of a wash. Get a little bit more paint into the mix. Get most of it off. Grab a little bit of that purple and apply it to the magazine. We already got too much. The silver portion of the gun barrel. Cool. We'll let that dry and we'll touch it up properly. In the meantime, let's dot the lenses. Of his eyes with this nice, much brighter color. Just draw it in. And let's get a little bit more of this guy. Cool. Now, one of the things I was planning on doing was line highlighting the edges of the gun white, and maybe some pieces of maybe some little tiny bits of the helmet as well. Very just subtly. So we're going to do this. We're going to do this with this brush over here. Get most of it off. Usually the advice is don't paint anything white, but Where do you go from bone? I think white's fine. It's a highlight color, so we're just gonna define the boxiness of the gun. Just pull some paint onto the edges. Get the thinnest edge highlights with the side of the brush that we can. Good rate. That's good TV when I move the miniature off of the outside of the view of the camera. That's just good television. This guy over here, this guy over here. And there we go. Now we've got sort of a fake line between the gray and the bone here. I want to find that a little better. But I'm not going to do it by not having paint on my brush. So, wipe the paint off, redefine the tip, and really try to get just a line where we want it. I don't even know why this is important to me. There. We'll come back with it in with some bone in a little bit and clean it up, but got some rivets here. Touch those up with white. Make sure that their definition isn't lost. Yeah, it's a bit sloppy right there. Again, we got rivets to touch up. So we do that. Now I have to be careful up here on the face since that's where most people are going to look. But I think we want just a slight, very slight white highlight there. And very, very slight white highlights there. And there. And just feather a little bit on. Probably too much there. There to push the highlights on top of here. Okay, paint's all dried on the brush, so get the bristles back. That. Let's paint out. Get it thinned. Draw in around the gun. Yep. Rivet highlights, riveting highlights, highlighting the rivets, riveting the highlights. Yeah, there we go. Maybe a little bit of white right under the eyes. Coming back from the . Okay, I think that's good for the face. Now we need to come back in once again with the bone and clean up anything that's, well, first, before we do that, fix up the gun, or wash down the gun barrel again to get that purple where we want it. Great. Too much inside the gun barrel. Not that that's going to matter a lot. I think we did pretty good with the eyes, except for one spot. So now we'll clean up the gun. We'll clean up the barrel, or clean up the gun and clean up the face. And I think that'll just about call this guy finished. We slopped out a little bit right here. I'm going to bring that line back. Yeah. And then there was a piece on the front here. That was a little bit front of the gun. That was a little bit too thick on the line highlight. Let's get back in around this laser sight thing. Oh, and we need to fix the gun clip. If I can remember what color I used. Is it this one or this one? Nope, not that one. Yikes. Ow. Iron Hull Gray or... Aha. Now, the trick with these is the one that looks lighter is actually darker. The one that looks darker is actually lighter. Go figure. I think that's it. I guess we will shortly find out. We've got a... Yeah, looks about right. Clean up the edge of this gun clip where the black and silver paint sort of slopped out. I suppose I could have really pushed the gun clip too and made it in a whole different color, but I'm not that concerned. Okay. All right. Ta-da. I think for the most part he's done. He still doesn't have a base, and I don't know what I'm going to do about that. I don't really want to give him a base. And he doesn't have a backpack. It looks kind of naked in the rear without it. Alright, let's bring the knife edge up a little bit with some Hachette copper. Run it along the edge. Pick it out thinly in places. We don't want it to be too desaturated. There. You can always knock it back down again and build it back up. If we have to do that now, let's look over this guy. Got a grenade. Got a good definition of the arms there and there. Oh, that's what we forgot. The the skulls on his arm. His right arm has a bunch of skulls on it. By a bunch, I mean 2 skulls. But they need some paint. Real quick, so we'll do this. Just gonna do my standard skull recipe, which is bone color, bone paint. In this case, what, a Shabti bone? Yeah. But any bones will do. This is the same thing I do for horns. Make sure we get the paint out of the eye socket there. Then when that's dry, we're gonna, or even before that's completely dry, we'll put some kind of a brown wash over it. And after the brown wash is dry, we'll come back and pick out the highlights with bone again. Let's go hunting for that brown that I want. Normally, like Agrax Earthshade would be fine. I got this giant bottle of random brown washes that I've been using. It's got some stuff in here that's a decade old. That's okay. Just pull the wash that I want off the edge of the bottle so we don't get too loaded. Just knock it down. Especially the edges. The edges don't need to be bright skull tan. Right, now I'll let that dry. I'm going to touch up some very little bit with this Screamer Pink on the corn symbol here. Make it look a little bit less flat while we're waiting for that bone to wash to dry. Brown wash on the bone, I should say. So we'll just go and just hit the top corners a little bit. Get some teeth definition there. It doesn't have to be a lot. Just thin bits and bobs to make it look like it's got some more depth. Let's take a look at Slimix. How that green dried. I like it. I think if I stuck a brown on top for the upper part of the thing, and then kept highlighting up, it could probably work out pretty well. I like the very pastel-y effect it's got. Okay. All right, let's go touch up those skulls. You don't need to do much at this point because we don't want to draw a lot of attention to the skulls. But they should look more than they do now. The key is you want to leave those recesses darker so it looks like a skull. Alright, I'm going to call that good. It probably could be better, but I'm getting a little bit tired of the model. I have to decide what I want to do with the base, and I think I might just paint the whole thing black. I've been doing that recently with my models. Just painting the base entirely black. Like, this guy's probably never going into an army with other Plague Marines, because he's just a really old, busted mini. Not busted, he's just an old mini. Old, weird mini. So we're probably just already got the base rim. And, you know, if I do decide to put him into an army someday, it's fine. I'll just come back and redo it. But the base does need to look finished at a minimum. It certainly doesn't look finished when it's just sitting there gray. Always do something with your bases to make them, don't just leave them sloppy paint. Yeah, I've been doing this with a lot of minis recently, especially my minis just for Dungeons and Dragons, or doing miniatures for Dungeons and Dragons or a game board. A lot of times I'll just paint them entirely black. They don't need to be scenic bases. They just you need to be able to see them and know where they are on a game board. This is what's known as phoning in the base. Super phoning it in, actually. That's okay. Alright, we did that. Go back over the rim. All the stuff on top dries. We'll see. I might bait or do a little bit more with the base. I might go back in and add some tufts or gravel or something, and that'll be fine. This isn't going to stop me from going back and changing. I almost said fixing. Not fixing. I'm not making a mistake. This is exactly what I intend to do. But improving. There's definitely room for improvement here. All right, yeah, we're going to let that guy All right, we're going to carefully pull him up off of here and try to get this blue tack out without ruining my beautifully just rimmed base. But, you know, things happen. But we've still got the black paint down. When things happen, we can fix it. All right, let's see. I saw a problem here on the back on his skirt. Just as I was doing this. It may have been because I was touching it. So we will come in. Just looks a little bit too much like bare plastic down here. So let's just color it in. See, I think that happened here too, and it ended up. But this just becomes. Right, those are just the protrusions. So we're just basically line highlighting back around the bottom to get it back where we want it. Good. And the trick now is going to be letting that dry and then getting it sealed so that if it brushes up against anything, it doesn't rub off anymore. In the meantime, I still have some black paint down on the wing, so let's look at some miniatures that are in the queue and just get some black on their bases. Rim those bases. This one looks pretty, these look pretty good. That one I put some paint on, so we won't put it on the table. This could use a little love. These are the minis I've got right here in my hand. These are the things from Warhammer Underworld's Night Vault. Beastgrave coming out. Like, I haven't even gotten these guys painted. And the next season of Underworlds is already coming out. So with Beastgrave, it's called Beastgrave. Beastgrave coming out, I want to get that. At least I didn't pick up Night Vault, because apparently Night Vault is basically deprecated now. The rules from the very first release of Warhammer Underworlds needed to be touched up enough that they, I guess they had planned to do this from all along. They need to be touched up enough that they basically only keep whatever the current release is and the release right before it. So since Beastgrave is the third release, that means Shadespire's out of rotation. The warbands aren't. Warbands are still in. You'll still use your models. All of that still works. It's just the universal cards need to be from the current set or the previous set. And my suspicion is that's just for them to be able to like refine the game, fix weird random rules, add clarifications, so that new players can figure things out, and so that old players stop arguing on the internet. Oh, I got a hair in there. Yuck. Yeah, you could use some. Like I said, I don't like to waste paint, so I'm using all that extra black that I got onto here for what I was doing there to rim these bases, and it'll rub off a little bit as I paint when I go in to paint them. But it won't be too bad. That's pretty much going to wrap up tonight. Not much else to do or talk about. My goal was to get that Plague Marine finished, or at least done enough. I'm going to let his paint dry for a little while, then go pop him into the light box and get pictures of him up on Instagram. So you can check those out there if you want. If you're watching this on now or on YouTube, now on Twitch or on YouTube later, you can always go try to check those out. And I guess I can add a link in the notes if you're watching this on YouTube, so you can go find the miniature, go directly to the pictures of the miniatures. I'm going to put that up. One of the things that the picture is going to do also is let me sort of focus in on or notice any bits, because just looking at it from here is one thing, but taking a picture of them blowing up to full size, you'll notice a lot more errors or places you can improve. So I'll get those printed, those figured out, and then we'll move on. So here we go. Thank you, everyone, and have a great evening. Stay cool.